Hey guys, it's your favorite corporate powerhouse, CJ Spencer. I run enterprise wide initiatives for corporations while building experience based businesses so people can create tangible memories. And here we talk business, we talk corporate America, we talk faith, leadership, strategy, we talk being your best you. Okay. And so today, we are talking yourself so other people can feel comfortable. Okay. Let's get into it. Unfortunately, guys, this is something that I've struggled with for a very long time. And I didn't realize that I was doing this. Um, it's sad. And it's something I'm continuously having to work through. My therapist, in my last session, she was getting on me and like, girl, like, talk your junk, girl, talk your junk. Because I think a lot of times, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but a lot of times we confuse being humble with shrinking ourselves. We got to stop that. Being humble is not the same as shrinking who you are and shrinking your capabilities. Okay. So, first things first, we have to recognize when we are shrinking. Sometimes when we are shrinking who we are, it doesn't look like we are hiding. Okay. It doesn't look like just not showing up. It might look like you not putting your best self forward. It might look like you are not speaking up. It might look like you acting like you don't have the capabilities. It might look like you do not talk about your accomplishments and what you've been able to accomplish. Okay? We have to recognize when we are shrinking ourselves. We also have to recognize what is triggering us to start shrinking ourselves. Is it the people? Is it the circumstance? Is it you don't want people to know how powerful you are, right? Because that was my thing. I knew like they know. Yeah. It's gonna be, they might ask me to do a little bit too much. If they know, then they're gonna be looking at me for something. If they know, then they might be looking at me differently, right? And part of the problem for me personally, I'm gonna make it personal. I have to get certain people from around me, get from around me. Okay. And I'm very careful about the people that I let get close to me. But sometimes people sneak through, right? So I'm one of those people where like it takes a while for me to call someone my friend. It takes a while for me to allow people to get genuinely close to me. But once I love you, I love you. Like that's it. Okay. But also, the spirit, I have a spirit of discernment. And so sometimes those things that pop up in your mind and the feelings that you have, they don't necessarily go away. So I know that was part of the triggers for me was me being afraid of what other people will think because I knew if they knew the power for real, okay, it was gonna be a problem. It was gonna be a problem. So you have to figure out when you are shrinking yourself to make other people feel uncomfortable. And we're gonna talk about I keep saying uncomfortable, make people feel comfortable. Um, we're gonna go into what that looks like. So in business, sometimes that looks like not charging what you need to charge. Okay, and I'm not saying the mindset of my price is my price because I kind of feel a way about that. I feel like people love to say my price is my price when they just want to rob people. Like you don't have to rob people to make a profit. Okay, you have to have some morals about you. Okay, you need to be ethical, right? There's a market value for everything. There's a market value for everything that you can Google how much things might cost, right? So you don't have to rob people to make your profit. You don't have to do that. So I do not agree with that at all. But I do agree with if your price is fair, that is your price. I've coached people when it comes to pricing and how they're running their business. I've had to coach people and there's a scarcity that happens, right? You're shrinking yourself. So you might be afraid that someone is not going to sign the contract. You might be afraid that someone is not going to buy your particular product or take your service. So what? The next person will, especially if the price is fair, right? If the price is fair, that is the price, right? Now, if they want to go to someone else that can charge them 20% less, let them go to that person because the level of service and the level of the product that that person might be able to provide, that customer might be okay with it. But you know your level of service, you know the quality of your product, you know the experience that that person, that company, that client is going to get with you. Do not lower your price because you are afraid that they're not going to purchase your particular product, service, or package or whatever it is. Okay. That is still lowering who you are. That is still shrinking who you are to make them comfortable. Do not make them comfortable at the expense of your profit margin. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Even minimizing the size of your company, minimizing the fact that you have people that work for you, minimizing the impact that you have, minimizing the relationships that you have. Again, I can talk about it personally. A lot of times I don't talk about the corporate relationships that I've been able to acquire by being in business for 10 years. Okay? This current company that I have, knocking on 10 years. I sometimes I don't talk about that. It's I can, hey, you feel me? It's and sometimes it takes the people around you. One of my god sisters was talking. She was like, "Girl, if you really wanted to stunt, all by the grace of God." But these are still things that I've been able to accomplish. That's something I have to work on because I don't talk about that enough. Of the relationships and the contracts and the partnerships that I've been able to acquire with arts and crafts. Okay, we just going with arts and crafts, selling hot dogs. If you understand what I'm saying, listen, you gotta work on not shrinking yourself or recognizing when you are shrinking yourself, even in business, in corporate America. Something are you staying quiet in meetings? Do you have a strategic insight? You just like, no, I'm gonna let them have it. I'm gonna let them. I'm gonna let them. Now it might be strategy. Okay, it might be strategy. Maybe you're new in the company. Maybe you don't want to be seen as this person that's the expert in this. So I understand it. But if you are not speaking up in meetings in corporate America, if you are not giving your strategic insight, if you are not being perceived as a leader on purpose because of other people around you, because you're trying to make people uncomfortable, there we go again. Because you're trying to make people comfortable. If you're not speaking up in meetings because you're trying to make people comfortable, that is a problem. And I'm gonna give you a secret, especially in corporate America, just like in the everyday world, people can see your power before you do. Stop shrinking yourself. Recognize why, recognize when. Is there certain leaders that are in the room that you kind of wanna know? Pop your collar. Okay? Pop your collar. And I gotta talk about everyday life. In everyday life, making yourself seem smaller in friendships, in family, in relationships. Don't do that. Why in that particular circle do you feel like you need to seem smaller? That doesn't make any sense. Stop doing that. Dating someone else or not dating a certain person because you want to make them feel secure? No. And especially I feel like in dating. I feel like in dating, we have to, again, there's a balance of being humble and not showing who you are. You don't have to tell all your business, but I feel like people should know. People should know how you come to know the details. People ask me, hey, what do you do? I'm an enterprise project manager. I'm a respected business owner. I don't have to give details about what type of projects I run, what companies I own. I don't have to do all that. But know how I'm coming. Just know that's enough. Okay, I'm not going to minimize myself. I used to because of what? Because I'm afraid that this person is going to think stop. We have to recognize when we are shrinking ourselves. And again, I'm with you. We're in this together. Isn't that how they used to say it in COVID? We're in this together. It's a continuous thing for me. We have to recognize when we are shrinking who we are to make people comfortable. The second thing that I want to talk about is we have to understand why our growth changes the dynamic of the relationship that we have with people, okay? And why it makes people uncomfortable. Our growth, your growth, will make people uncomfortable. This is what I have learned. This is what I have learned. People have a perception of who they think you are, who they think you're supposed to be, what they believe your trajectory is, where they believe you belong. A lot of that has to do with when they encounter us and we may be shrinking ourselves. Again, I'm going to talk personally. There was a time because of the nature of my business, even how I presented myself. I didn't always present myself. I didn't always wear the best clothes. You know what I'm saying? Not saying expensive, but I didn't always take pride and say, okay, listen, girl, you got to put on some clothes today. I might have had on gym clothes all day. Tight tank top workout clothes. It just was easier because of the nature of the business and what I was doing, and we was moving around and all the things, right? I believe that allowed people to play with me. Even though they understood that I was this big dog, even though they understood that I was this corporate powerhouse, even though they understood that I was this respected business owner, because I didn't present myself as my best self, they were able to put me in a category in their mind. So what happens is, and we was cool while I was over there. We were cool while I was over there. But the minute that I started to break the mold that they had me in, not that they didn't think that I could break it, because they already know your power. But it's easier for them to digest you when you're here, right? Yeah, they're powerful, but it's easier for them to digest you because you're shrinking who you are, because you're making them comfortable, right? So, but the minute you start to shatter that, it becomes a problem. For me, it was just taking pride in how I presented myself every day. And that's one of the things that I have to do in my daily affirmations. I take pride in how I present myself every day, because people perceive you with that. Now, granted, I'm not wearing expensive clothes, but I'm going to take pride in how I present myself. I'm going to take pride in how people perceive me, because you may not be able to have a conversation with me, but I need you to, oh, she takes care of herself. Yeah, she's somebody. I need you to know that, because as we are getting to know each other, I don't even want you to think you could put me in a box, because I've been there and I've done that. Okay. So when you start to grow, it's going to change the dynamic of people that thought that were comfortable with you being in a certain category. Okay. For some people support you when you're dreaming. They support you when you're dreaming, but when you start acting on your dreams, when you start putting the plan in motion, it shakes things up. It shakes things up for them. And when your dreams start producing real results, I need you to be prepared for that dynamic to get ready to change. So let's talk about what that looks like in business. People may admire when your business starts, right? But when your business starts making strides and you started gaining traction with your business, you start receiving major opportunities and generating income, even partnerships, okay? Gaining more value, that can cause problems. That can cause people to have a dysfunctional relationship with you, because they put you in a box and now you no longer fit that mold, right? Because we are shrinking ourselves, right? That's part of that. In corporate America, coworkers celebrate your potential, but when you get that promotion, it's a problem. Okay? It was cool when you did it, but when I do it, it's a problem. No, no. No. Okay. The dynamic is going to change as you grow. And I believe that we have to just be prepared for that, especially in corporate America. When you start pursuing certifications, when you start pursuing promotions, leadership opportunities, or even executive visibility, even that alone, the executives saw you, who you talk to. Oh, I didn't know you were on that particular project. Oh, I didn't know that they knew you. Or they see the rapport that you have with people when you're walking in the halls, of how people respect you. The dynamic is going to change. It was cool when I was over here in your mind, but now that I'm not over there in your mind, it's a problem. The dynamic is going to change. Okay. Same thing is going to happen in our personal lives and our family. We have to be careful. And I think the personal piece of this part is the probably the most challenging, because people are at work. They're your coworkers. Yeah, you have a relationship with them, your coworkers. Yes, in business, I may have the partners today. I may not have those partners. There's still a relationship. But when those people that know you personally, your family, your friends, um, your marital partners, right? The people that you're in relationships with, when those relationships start to change because you are growing, I think that's the hardest one. That's the hardest one to digest, because it's like, wait a minute, I thought she was in my corner. All this other stuff is, that's working all the, but this is who we are. That's hard. That is hard. But that is a part of it too. And I believe what I want you guys to know, what the important lesson is, that someone else's reaction to your growth does not automatically mean what you're doing is wrong. Okay? Their reaction to your growth is not an indication of what you're doing that is a bad thing. And we have to just be okay with that. We got to be okay with, hey, I'm growing. You may not be growing with me. You may not be in support, especially if you ain't costing nobody no money. My daddy love to say that. Listen, if you ain't costing me no money, if you don't need me to do nothing, we good. What's up? Right? If you're not costing them any money, if you're not causing them any stress, if you're not depending on them to do anything, what's the problem? What is the problem? A question that I would ask myself if I'm in that position, if I'm dealing with that, am I receiving constructive feedback, or am I being asked to become smaller for someone else's comfortability? Because they're gonna come at you with it. Trust and believe. Why do you need to do that? Do you think you need to? But why are you doing all that? Do you think you really? Yes, I didn't do all of it. All of it. Again, ask yourself that. That could be a determining factor. Is this constructive criticism, or are they asking me to minimize who I am to make them comfortable? Move accordingly. And another thing that I want to talk about, okay? As we are learning to not shrink ourselves to make people comfortable, is learning how to take up space without apologizing. Let me tell you something, baby. This one right here. Learning how to take up space without apologizing will make people sit up straight in their seats. People don't like that. Okay. And I'm not one of those people that wake up. You know how some people wake up like and they have a chip on their shoulders because they just want to prove the world. Well, I ain't got time for that. Okay. Before I even do too many breaths when I wake up, I'm trying to give God glory. Okay, Lord, I thank you for the day. Keep my family, do my little prayer. Before my feet hit the ground, I need to go ahead and have a little quick little 1-2 with you, Father God. Okay. So I try not even wait. I don't even wake up with them type of chips on my shoulder. But some people do, right? I get it. It's a thing. I said that to say, but if you learn how to take up space in a room without apologizing, hey, it's a game changer. It's a shifter. And I'm saying that still understanding that it's easier said than done. Okay. You have to be so confident in who you are and confident in in who you are going to be and confident in yourself that you cannot care who's uncomfortable because you are in the room. I know for a fact what, especially if I'm on, because sometimes I don't even be on. You feel what I'm saying? Like depending on who I'm with, where I'm going, what we doing. You know what I'm saying? I don't put it on, but it's most of the time I'm like, all right, let's go. I know when I walk in the room, I know and I know when I sit there, there might be someone that is uncomfortable with just my pure existence, and I cannot apologize for it. I cannot apologize for it. Taking up space does not mean you're arrogant, inconsiderate, or believing that you are better than anyone else. Taking up space in a room and not apologizing for it simply means that you know who you are. You know your gifts, you know your experiences, you know your voice, you know your value, and you don't have to apologize for any of those things. Take up space in the room and don't apologize for it. And taking up space in a room does not mean that you're comparing yourself to the next person. It doesn't mean that you're spending in your entire time worrying about what they have versus you. Taking up space in the room is standing in who you are and knowing that you can't nobody else do it like you. Period. Period. You can't. You can't. Okay? I promise you, you can't. One of the things that I also say in my affirmations is I belong in any room that I walk into. My name is being said in rooms before I even get there. Positively. My name is spoken positively in rooms before I even get there. I belong in any room that I walk into. How dare you tell me I'm not supposed to be here? And but the thing about it, most of the times they're not even gonna say it to you. That's the funny part. They're never gonna say it to you. Let's get into how that looks like in business. Okay, you quote the real price, promote your work, speak confidently about your results. Speak speak as if your business is where you had dreamed of it being. Okay, stop presenting your business like it's just a little something. It's just something on the side. I hate when people, oh, you're a little business. Stop saying little. I don't care if I only got one client. You don't get to say that. Stop minimizing your business. speak on your business. Be proud of it. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you have worked for. Running a business is not easy, especially when you're running it legitimately, especially when you are seeing the strives and you've seen the fruits of your labor. Be proud of that. What is anyone going to say about it? Nothing. Not a thing. When you've built a legitimate business, be proud of that. What does that look like in corporate America? Okay. Contribute your ideas. Speak. Oh, yeah, I had this, I had this idea. I'm so excited about bringing this to the team. Okay. Well, I led this particular initiative. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I worked with executive leadership to do X, Y, and Z. Speak on what you've done. Oh, I was so excited to have the conversation with our coworkers and we worked together to do X, Y, and Z. I was able to mentor this person. I was so happy that I had influence in that decision. Yeah. Talk it. Ask about advancement. Do not be afraid to talk to your leadership. What are the requirements? What does that look like? How do I align with that? What do I need to do? You need to know where you are so you can know where you're going. You need to know what you bring to the table. They need to know that you need to know. Okay? Let's keep it a buck. Because a lot of times when we are in these positions, we don't necessarily like the leaders that we have. They may not even know everything we have. They may when I say everything we have, they may not know the accolades that you have. They may not know the work that you've done. They may not know what you've already done even before you got to the organization. Make it known when the time is right and the appropriate conversation. Let them know, hey, this is actually what I've done, X, Y, and Z. Now that is going to make people uncomfortable, but so what? They should know. They should know. And in everyday life, you want to be able to communicate your needs clearly. Let people know what you expect. Maintain your standards. Allow yourself to be fully seen without constantly having to manage how people feel about you. Let yourself be able to be fully seen without having to constantly manage how people feel about you. That's not your problem. That's their problem. Listen, we are past the days of shrinking ourselves to make people feel comfortable. That is over with. And I'm telling you that as someone who constantly has to do that. I have to constantly remind myself is we don't care what they think about us because I'm minding my business. I'm minding my business. I am who I am. And this is the key. This is the thing. A lot of times, what I've learned personally is the times that I've tried to hide, the times that I've tried to shrink myself, everyone still saw who I was. Everyone still saw my power. Everyone still saw my capabilities. Everyone still saw my talents. So really, I was playing myself. Okay, I was really playing myself. I was playing myself. I was playing my trajectory. I was playing with my gift because God already told me what I need to do. He's already given it to me. So who are you to play with what you are supposed to do? It is your job to see those things through. Do not allow anyone else to change your trajectory, to change the power that you have, to change the natural gift that you embody, to change the purpose that God has already given you because you are concerned about making them feel uncomfortable. It's time to shake that junk off. Step on their necks every time. Every single time, step on their necks. I don't care. Make that step on them every single time. And keep going. If they feel uncomfortable about it, they need to find some business. But in this season, we done with that. Okay? It's your favorite corporate powerhouse, CJ Spencer. I love you. And I will see you next time. Please like, share, and follow. I hope this helps.